My name is Kevin Hartley. I've lived in the same small neighborhood outside Milwaukee for over 30 years. I work as a mail carrier, not the most exciting job, but it's honest, steady work. Rain, snow, sun, I deliver the same route every day. And for the past 10 years, one stop on that route meant more to me than any other. It was this old white house near the end of Maple Street. Peeling paint, rusty fence, curtains always drawn. The man who lived there was named Walter Ellsworth. Everyone called him the old guy on the corner, but I just called him Walter. I hadn't cried like that since my mother passed. I walked through his house again. The photos, the war medals in the drawer, the quiet. I didn't sell it. I couldn't. Instead, I fixed it up slowly. We painted the walls, patched the roof, cleared the weeds out back. I planted flowers, June's favorite tulips, beneath the front window. Every Saturday morning, I go there. Make coffee, sit in the same spot. I talk to him sometimes. Tell him what the weather's like or what crazy thing a dog on my route did that week. Walter's son never showed up. Never asked what happened, never claimed a thing. And maybe that's the saddest part, because he'll never know that his father, a man who survived war, loss, and silence, still believed he'd come home one day. Still waited for that knock on the door that never came. I never thought a quiet man on the corner would change my life. But he did. He reminded me that real wealth isn't money. It's being remembered, it's being loved, even by someone you didn't expect. Walter Ellsworth died alone, but he left me everything that mattered. At first, he barely spoke, just nodded when I dropped off his mail. But after a while, that changed. One winter morning, I knocked on his door. He hadn't picked up his mail in 3 days. When he answered, he looked pale and shaky. I asked if he was all right, and he tried to wave me off, said he was just tired. But I saw it in his eyes. He was hungry, so the next day, I brought him breakfast. Just coffee, eggs, and toast in a paper bag. Nothing fancy. From that day on, I started stopping by each morning before finishing my route. I'd bring him a hot sandwich or oatmeal, and we'd sit for 10, sometimes 15 minutes. He'd talk a little more each time. At first, it was about the weather or the news. But then he started telling me about the war. Walter was a World War II veteran. He served in France, helped liberate towns I'd only read about in books. His stories weren't boastful, they were quiet, heavy with pain and pride. He showed me a black and white photo of him and his unit, said he was the last one alive. He told me about his wife, June. She passed from cancer in '91 after she died. He said once, "This house stopped making noise." He had a son too, Richard. He was in real estate in Chicago, big money, Walter said, with a hollow smile. But that's where the story turned. Richard hadn't visited in over a decade, not even for birthdays. Walter would sometimes stare at the phone on the kitchen wall and say, "He's busy. He's got a lot on his plate," but I could see it in his face. The ache, the loneliness. It's a different kind of heartbreak when your only child forgets you exist. Walter never said a bad word about his son, not once. But I remember one day, he held out an old Father's Day card. It was creased and faded, last thing I ever got from him. He whispered, 2007, some mornings, Walter wouldn't eat unless I was there. I'd brew coffee in his kitchen, slice a banana, make sure his pills were lined up right. He pretended it was no big deal, but he'd always say, "Thanks for stopping by. Kev makes the day go faster." One Friday in late October, I dropped by as usual. The blinds were shut, no answer at the door. I tried calling his name. Nothing. I found him in his chair, peaceful. Still gone. The coroner said it was a heart attack. Quick and quiet, they asked if I was family. I said no, but I felt like I was. His son was contacted. He sent someone from the office to handle the arrangements. Didn't come himself, didn't even call me. The man just packed a few boxes, signed some papers, and said, "We'll deal with the property next month." Weeks went by. Then one morning, I received a letter at my own front door, not through the mail, hand-delivered, legal envelope. From Walter's lawyer, he left everything to me. The house, the land, a savings account with more than I expected, and a letter folded carefully inside a worn envelope with my name. It said, "Kevin, you were the only one who came back. You listened, you cared." I waited a long time for someone to see me again. I thought it would be my son, but instead, it was you. Thank you for reminding me what kindness feels like. I sat at my kitchen table and wept.